My name is Tara Jenkins. We're going to talk all about self-care and music today. If you go to the current room, that's going to be our chat box. That's where we're going to be working. Any questions you have, you can put them in the chat. Any comments in the chat. If you scroll all the way to the top, you should see my contact information, and a attachment for a handout. So that's just for you, and I'll refer to that. All right, and I'm seeing lots of answers to what you like to do for self-care, so wonderful. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen here, and we are gonna get started. So thank you for all those answers for self-care, fantastic. So I am a board certified music therapist. I'm a certified dementia practitioner and also a certified Montessori dementia care professional as well. I have been working with older adults and care partners for the last 16 years of my career, and I have extensive knowledge and training in dementia, Alzheimer's care, and cognitive decline. So I provide group and individual music therapy services. I do workshops like this, and then I also provide consultation services as well. I'm based in the greater Austin area, Central Texas area, but I also work virtually. So I can also work with you virtually. So you don't have to be here in Austin to receive some of my services as well. I am the founder and owner of Harmony and Dementia. That's my private practice. And I co-authored the book, Music, Memory, and Meaning, How to Effectively Use Music to Connect with Aging Loved Ones. And I presented with my co-authors at CareCon last year. So if you may recognize me from that. So we are going to get started today. So we're going to take just a minute or two to highlight some of the benefits of health and music. If you were in the first panel on music and memory, they talked a lot about the benefits of health and music, but I really want to spend the majority of our time on the self-care categories and how you can apply music to each one of those. So that's going to be most of our time today. But I am a music therapist, so I want to start with an activity, a breathing activity with me and my guitar. And so that's where we're going to get started today. There are so many different breathing exercises out there, and it's really what works best for you. But I chose this one. It's called box breathing. Sometimes it's referred to as square breathing. I like this one because you can easily use it with or without music. We're going to use it with the guitar today. And the other thing I like about it is you can implement it and use it in your routine, even as you're just sitting here listening to my presentation. You can use it in the car if you're stuck in traffic. You can use it waiting in line at the grocery store. If you're providing or supporting care for a loved one, you can use this breathing exercise before you give care, while you're giving care, and even afterwards if it's been a little bit of a challenge that day. So what I'd like you to do is try to get comfortable in your chair. And so have your back against the chair if you can. Just get comfortable. Put your feet flat on the ground. So really feel supported by the ground, by your chair. And I encourage you to close your eyes, but you don't have to. So I'm going to leave that up to you. And then we're just going to follow those prompts. So here we go. Let's get started together. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, and rest. 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, and rest. 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, and rest. One more time. Inhale. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, and rest. 2, 3, 4. right. Well, thank you for joining me on that. I always like to do some sort of music activity to get us started. And since we're talking about self-care, I thought a breath work would be good. I have an attachment up at the top of the chat. There is a resource listed that are 5 of the most common breathing exercises to help with anxiety. And frustration and that sort of a thing. So you're more than welcome to look at them. This is one of those. So now I wanted to just talk about music and self-care and do a little intro here on the benefits of health and music. But first, I want to remind everyone there's no wrong way to self-care. It's what's most important is to find what works best for you. The definition of self-care is the practice to take action to improve or preserve one's own health. So self-care is really an intentional action, and it's used to help support or fulfill an area of your life. And it's really essential for our well-being as well as our productivity, and it can be easily overlooked when we're caring for others. You know, our time and attention is devoted to others. We don't always give that time and attention back to ourselves. And so the more we're able to take care of ourselves, the better we're going to feel mentally, emotionally, and physically, and the better we're going to be able to care for our loved ones as well. So we're just going to cover a few examples of benefits of health and music because I want to spend most of the time on the self-care categories. But, you know, you don't have to be musically inclined to receive the benefits of music. And if you join the first panel for music and memory, they shared a lot of those benefits. Music can influence our thoughts, our feelings, and behaviors. And research shows that music can activate diverse brain networks, including areas of cognition, emotion, motor control, and attention. So I want to share just a few examples of how music can be used to promote health and well-being. So the first one is a positive impact on well-being and improved mood. So one example of this is when you're listening to your favorite music, our brain releases chemicals like dopamine, the feel-good chemical, and serotonin, the happy chemical. And this is one of the reasons why you might feel more energized after listening to a favorite song. So after listening to preferred music, you might have a little bit more pep in your step. Decreasing anxiety and managing stress. So listening to relaxing music, and I'm going to kind of say that in quotes. It's kind of a broad term, and it is a term that can be defined in a lot of different ways. But for our purposes, when I say relaxing music, I mean music with a slow tempo, a low pitch, and without lyrics. So that's more of what I'm referring to. When you're listening to this type of music, it has been shown to reduce stress and anxiety in individuals. And another way to reduce stress and anxiety is through singing. So in addition to dopamine and serotonin, the feel-good and happy chemicals, our body also releases oxytocin when we're singing. And that hormone can help with relieving stress and anxiety. So as a motivator for exercise and movement, so stamina and motivation can be improved when listening to music during exercise activities and workouts. And this is especially true if you synchronize your movements to the rhythm of a particular song. And you might find when you do this that you can go longer and further than you would in your workout. So another way that music can be used for our health. And then this last area that I just wanted to highlight here is regulating your heart rate and breathing. When you use music with intention, you can actually regulate or lower your heart rate and blood pressure, and slow your breathing. And all of these things can increase when we're stressed. So this is something, you know, you can do with the breathing exercise we did at the start. This is something when listening to preferred music or the relaxing music that I talked about. And a lot of times, you know, if you're anxious, you can feel your heart racing. And then you can start to feel it regulate as you're listening to music, as you're focusing on your breathing. And it's also something I encourage if you want to try with a heart monitor. For some folks, they like to visually see, you know, that number and being able to see it go down as you're practicing some of this self-care with music. So as I mentioned, the real focus of our presentation today is self-care and music, and that's really where I want to spend the rest of our time. So there are self-care categories. I've seen 8 categories. I've seen 6. I've seen the pillars of self-care. It kind of depends what research and where you're reading and getting your information. But for our purposes today, I wanted to focus on these 8 categories of self-care. The goal with most of the music activities I'm going to share today is to give you easy to implement resources that you can use right away with little prep time. As caregivers, carers, care partners, we don't always have 60 minutes to devote to self-care. We might not even have 30 minutes. So is there something you could do for 2 minutes that could help with self-care? And that's what we're going to focus on today. And so here are the 8 categories. We're going to talk about physical, intellectual, emotional, social, environmental, recreational, financial, and spiritual. So, that jumped ahead. So give me a second to go back. Sorry about that. All right, let's try again here. There we go. Sorry about that. So the first area of self-care is physical, the first category. And this is considered one of the most important categories because if you're supporting your physical self-care, it will overlap and help support the other areas as well. And so it's all about taking care of our physical body. And so you're going to see some activities listed there, but focusing on a balanced diet, moving your body, getting a good night's sleep. And so some music activities that you can do to support physical self-care: listening to preferred music for exercise. So we talked about that with the benefits of health and music. Preferred music for dance. So it doesn't have to be a formal dance class. You could be dancing in your living room, and listening to the music that you enjoy. Preferred or relaxing music for sleep. Some folks like to listen to music that they know. I know for me, I need more of an ambient sound, music with no lyrics. And so in that resource list in the attachment, I recommend one specific composer, but I encourage you to explore lots of different options for music for sleep. And then there are also some apps, Better Sleep and Calm. I like those because they incorporate music. So it's another way that you can try out music for sleep as well. So the next area of self-care is intellectual. Intellectual focuses on our mind's ability to understand and process information and experiences. So learning a new skill, setting personal goals, practicing gratitude. And some of the ways you can incorporate music is be an active participant in music. So that's singing, playing an instrument, dancing, anything where you are actively involved and focused on music. Learning a new instrument or picking up an instrument maybe you haven't played in a couple of years. Joining a choir, taking a dance class. And another app that I really enjoy is Insight Timer. All of the apps, they focus on sleep, meditation, focus, so there's a lot of different areas with each one of those apps. So those are some of the activities that you can do for intellectual self-care. All right. Next up is emotional self-care. This category helps you support and understand your emotions and feelings. So for this category, you can journal, talk to a therapist, practice self-love, and ask for help. And some of the ways that you can incorporate music are using music to access emotions. So to connect with emotions or to help regulate your mood. So if you want to connect to a happy memory, is there a song that when you think of it, you immediately think of a happy time in your life? Also using music to express feelings. A lot of times as carers, we're experiencing a lot of feelings all at the same time. We may be grieving, we may be angry, we may be upset. And music can be a safe way or a safe outlet to express some of those feelings. So can you put on a song so you can sing at the top of your lungs to get out that frustration? Can you put on a song you feel like you need a good cry, and a song that is emotionally going to connect you and let you express your feelings in that way. So that's another way to use music. And then the last two there, using song lyrics for journal prompts or song lyrics for affirmations or reminders or positive statements. And so I wanted to show you an example of this here on the next slide. But I use the song Flowers by Miley Cyrus. It is pretty popular as of late. And the chorus focuses a lot on self-care. And so when we are talking about using song lyrics for journal prompts, you could write the whole chorus in your journal. You could write just one line or one phrase, and then you could reflect on that. So, talking to myself for hours, saying things you don't understand, and writing what that means to you. The other thing you could do is make it more personal for you. And if we were in a music therapy group, hold on here. There we go. If we were in a music therapy group, we might work on this as a songwriting activity. This is kind of a pared down version of that, where you could write in your journal, I can buy myself, and instead of flowers, you could say, I can buy myself chocolate. I can take myself for a hike instead of I can take myself dancing. So it's another way that you can write reminders, positive statements, create affirmations through song lyrics. So again, you can use any song and any song that speaks to you, but it's another way that you can help support your emotional self-care along the way. All right, so next up is social self-care, and this focuses on supporting and nurturing our social relationships. So reconnecting with family and friends, continuing to grow a meaningful relationship, and reaching out to your support system. And a lot of you are doing that today, coming to CareCon to get resources and tips and to talk with others who are going through what you are as well. And some of the music activities for social self-care can include attending a concert or seeing live music, going to karaoke, going to a dance hall or a honky tonk. And I put honky tonk in there because I'm out in Austin. And those are still pretty popular throughout Texas here. And going to a music or a record store. So, sometimes we have weird gaps of time in our day. And so a record store is a great place if you've got 20 minutes or, you've got maybe 40 minutes in between appointments. You can kind of window shop or just look through records. And a lot of these music activities that I'm mentioning, you can also do virtually. So if you don't have the means to attend a concert or the time to attend a concert, you can also go to YouTube and look at live performances of your favorite musicians, your favorite artists. You can also, for karaoke, if you can't gather with folks in person, you can gather like this virtually, and Apple Music and Spotify, they have a karaoke feature. So it'll bring up the words for you and you can sing all together. So those are some ways that virtually you can connect with music as well as in person. All right, next up is environmental. And this category focuses on your surroundings and what you need to thrive in your environment. And this is really going to be different for everyone. All of these areas of self-care are very personal, and they're going to look differently for each one of us. But environmental, I think, we each need very specific things to thrive in our environment. And that's really what this area of self-care is talking about. So creating a safe space in your environment. For some people, it is a clutter-free home, making sure everything is tidy and clean. For others, having a healthy balance of a work-home space, especially if you work from home. Do you have a dedicated space? It doesn't have to be a room or an office, even a corner, with a desk that's your workspace. And when work is done, you can leave it and enjoy the other areas of your home. And a space where you enjoy spending time. So some of the music activities that you can do for environmental self-care, creating a physical space to enjoy music. We did this recently. I have my office here, but for the home, we just got a new record player and a record cabinet. And so now we have an area, it doesn't take up a lot of space, and it's where we can listen to records in our home. So creating a space to enjoy music, to play music, having a comfy chair, maybe to sit and listen to music. Preferred music playlists to motivate your day. I'm going to talk about preferred music a lot. It's what we connect with the most. It's what stays with us throughout our lives. And using music to motivate your day, similar to when you use it as a motivator for exercise, songs to wake up to. Maybe instead of the alarm sound, set your alarm to a song that you can wake up to. Most recently, I used Gloria Estefan's Get On Your Feet to wake me up in the morning. So that's something that you can do, and use music throughout your day. Music while you're cleaning, music while you're kind of getting ready, maybe some downtime before you're getting ready for bed. Preferred music for the car. If you're in the car a lot, driving back and forth to appointments, can you create a playlist to help you? For some people, it might be to help you relax or just to be calm in between those appointments. For me, I'm in the car a lot seeing clients, and sometimes I just need a boost of energy if it's been a long day. So I've got a playlist called Windows Down in Cruising. And for me, it's any song that I could sing at the top of my lungs with the windows down. So that's the criteria for that playlist. But the possibilities are really endless when creating those playlists. And then another thing is using wind chimes in an outdoor space. So maybe the area that you enjoy spending time is your front porch or your backyard, and adding a set of wind chimes. I know for me, we've got them in the front and the back. I can hear them inside the house kind of very faintly. And then it's really wonderful to have them outside as well. And I'm seeing some great comments in the chat, so thank you. Feel free to keep sharing those. I'm going to go through them a little bit more when we have time here at the end, but thank you so much for everything that's being shared so far in the chat. All right, next up, I am trying hold on here. There we go. For some reason, I'm clicking and my slides aren't always switching over there. The next area, we're on the 6th category of self-care, is recreational. And this focuses on our inner child and participating in activities that bring us joy. So this is really any activities that we just enjoy doing, things that we maybe do as a hobby or just fill us with joy. So there's a list there, but going on a hike, watching a movie, creating, whether that could be sewing or knitting or painting or playing music. And see some music activities, seeing live music, going to a musical or a Broadway show. Again, listening to preferred music, it's another big one. Attending a community dance or music class. So sometimes, it could be for formal instruction, but it could also be here in Austin, at our honky tonks. A lot of times, Broken Spoke comes to mind downtown in Austin. They'll do about an hour of the Texas two-step. They'll do some dance lessons, and then the live band comes in and plays for the rest of the night. So that's another way that you could join. And also a community drum circle. I love a drum circle in the community. So check your area, see if they have them. A lot of times they're pretty prominent in most cities. But what I love about a community drum circle is a lot of times all you need to bring is yourself. You don't even need to bring a drum. A lot of times folks will bring drums for people to share, but you can also do body percussion. So you can still get that rhythm going in some way to dance, to sing. And it's a really great way to connect with your community. So it also overlaps with that social self-care as well as recreational self-care. All right, we are moving on to the 7th category, and that is financial. And this is focusing mostly on developing a healthy relationship with money. And I will say that this is probably one of the trickiest areas of self-care because everyone's circumstances are so different. So I just, want to put that up there at front when we're talking about financial self-care. But some of the things that you can do is set financial goals, try, to focus on managing your savings, your income, your debt, speak to an expert, financial planning. And I added this here. It's not financial, but I also look at this category a little bit broader than just financial, but all of those important documents, all your health forms, your health information, your passport, all those things that are important, birth certificates, is that organized? Is that all in one place? So if there was an emergency or if something happens to you, are all your documents in a place where someone knows where they are and can get to them and everything's organized? And so when we think of music activities, I'm going to go back to preferred music and themed playlists to motivate you to do some of these financial activities. I know for me, I always put off doing my taxes. So, playing some music to kind of get me motivated, get me started. You can get creative with a themed playlist and use songs like She Works Hard for the Money. You could use Money, That's What I Want, Can't Buy Me Love. Again, just using music to motivate you to do some of these activities. And then the other thing that I wanted to list here is documenting your preferred music and your music activities that you enjoy, your self care activities as well. As carers, we're focused on our loved one, and I do lots of talks and presentations about the importance of music preferences for older adults, but I also want us to take some time to focus on what music we enjoy. And that's beneficial for us. If you're stressed or you're anxious, if you've written a list of your favorite songs, that it's in the journal, or maybe you create a playlist. And so then when you're upset, you don't have to think about it. You can just go to that playlist. You can go to that list. And again, if something was to happen to you, or maybe someone wants to help you and help support you in some way, music can be a great way to do that. And so if they know what music you enjoy, if they know what brings you calm, what brings you peace, what helps you relax, that can go a long way and can be really helpful. So the last area of self-care that I want to talk about here is spiritual. So this is the 8th area of self-care. And this category is all about feeding your soul and connecting with your deeper purpose and meaning in life. And it's also about kind of tuning out the chatter and the noise. So to try to bring focus and peace along the way. And there's a variety of ways to do this. Some of you at the start said that for self-care, you meditate. And you do use some breathing exercises. So those are things that you can do for spiritual self-care. Yoga for self-care here. Surround yourself in nature. Attend a place of worship. So those are just some examples. When it comes to music activities, breathe or meditate to music. So we did a breathing exercise at the start of this workshop. And then also in that resource list I mentioned, it's at the top of the chat. You can download that. There's a link to other breathing exercises, and it also lists the apps I was talking about. If you've never tried meditation, those apps are a great place to start because they kind of walk you through it to see if it's something you might enjoy. Sing or listen to music of your faith. So whether it's hymns or spirituals or other music that reminds you of your faith, that brings you comfort. Playing instruments with a meditative quality. So I've got some instruments here that I'm actually going to show you, and they're in the resource list as well on where you can get those if you want to purchase them. But when I'm talking about a meditative quality, it's really about an instrument that there's no wrong way to play it and that there's a repetitive motion. So you kind of can really focus on the sound of the instrument itself and the motion of playing it. And so the first instrument I want to show you here is a steel tongue drum. They come in all different shapes and sizes, but the bigger they are, the heavier they are. This one has a little bit of weight to it, but I like it because it's pretty portable. It's not too heavy. It comes with a bag, so you can just put it in the bag and take it with you wherever you go. And it is tuned to a pentatonic scale. So there's really no wrong note. All the notes will sound good together. And there's no wrong way to play it. So I'm going to just demonstrate it here for you. So what I love about this is you can play fast or slow. You can pair breathing. So if you want those longer tones, you can pair your breath work with it like we did with the guitar with each tone of the steel tongue drum, or you can just play it like I did. And it's really, really great. when you're thinking about self-care, and they make it in an even smaller size. So I couldn't resist. I had to show it to you here. This is the smallest steel tongue drum I've ever seen. It literally fits in the palm of your hand. It's very cute. But what I like about it is you can set it on your desk. You can throw it in your bag. So it's one that you could take with you and play, when you're waiting for the doctor. A lot of times we're in that waiting room, in the room where it's just you waiting for the doctor. So you could play it then as well. I'm going to demonstrate it for you here because the sound, you're going to notice the sound on the larger one is a bit fuller because of the size difference. But here is the smaller one so you can hear what it sounds like. I will say this one, it's a little harder to hit each one of those tongues. I'll try to get it close there because they're smaller. So, but it still is a great instrument for self-care. The other one I wanted to show you, I mentioned wind chimes earlier, but you can also get, hard to move these without making a sound, but you can also get a set of chimes like this. They make them a little bit smaller. And again, you could have a stand on your desk to hang it, or just have wind chimes up too. But again, just playing through some chimes. We also talked about how, hanging wind chimes outside and just listening to them in that way. I really like the company, and now I'm blanking at the name of the company, but it's in your Woodstock. It's in your resource list in the attachment at the top of this chat. But Woodstock chimes are really great because they come in all different shapes and sizes, and they tune their wind chimes. So you can find wind chimes with familiar songs like Amazing Grace. They do one that's Celtic. And they do lots of others. So that's a really good recommendation as well. And then the last instrument that I want to showcase for you, and then I really want to kind of give you some final thoughts and then open it up to the chat. And I'm going to go kind of through comments that folks are making as well. But I want to share another instrument here, an ocean drum. And I grew up, I live in Austin, Texas, but I grew up by the ocean in New Jersey. And so for me, the ocean is very important to me, and it can bring a sense of calm to a lot of folks. So I wanted to show you it here. I'm going to step back. I'll do it this side so the reflection isn't there. But this is a 12-inch size drum. They make them smaller and bigger. I like this size quite a bit. I like the sound of the 12-inch. One size is a drum head. The other is clear, and it's clear so I'm trying to get it close there, but all these metal beads, when you move the drum back and forth, you can watch those beads. So you can really get into a rhythm of watching those beads go back and forth. And I'm going to play it for you here. I'm going to warn you, it is a little loud. Sometimes through a computer speaker, it might be a little loud or surprising. So I just wanted to warn you, but I'll play it here for a few moments. All right, so this drum, again, it can be used in a lot of different ways. You can use it with music. So Claire de Lune is one that I really like because the dynamics change, so you can kind of match the rhythm to the music. You can also use preferred music, of course, to play along with the ocean drum. You can also use it without music like I just did. You can pair your breathing to it, breathing in and out, feeling that rhythm of the tide as if you were right there in person with the ocean. So there are other instruments out there, but I wanted to showcase these three because there's no wrong way to play it. And that's what I love about these instruments. I want your self-care to be a successful journey, and I don't want you to get frustrated with trying to learn an instrument if that's not an interest for you. So the steel tongue drum, the ocean drum, and chimes are really great if you want to explore some instruments and self-care, music instruments and self-care. So I've just got some final thoughts here, and then I really want to open it up to the chat, and I want to kind of read through comments that folks are making. And if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat as I'm kind of just wrapping up with some thoughts here. But the most important thing that I hope you get out of this workshop is to give yourself permission for self-care, no matter how you want to engage with self-care. Music and self-care in general is subjective, and it has to speak to you. It has to be beneficial for you. You know, it has to work for you. There's no wrong answer, and there's no wrong type of music when it comes to self-care for you individually. This is about using the qualities of music to benefit and support your self-care practice. And remember, as you're exploring these different music activities, to go easy on yourself, to see what works best for you. There's no one size fits all, you know, when it comes to music and self-care. And so the recommendations that I've shared here today are based on my personal and professional experience, as well as based in research and in client testimonials and things that clients have used and enjoyed. So I am going to head over to the chat here and just kind of read through some comments. And then if you have any questions, I'm going to put this in now. I've just got a survey, and this is just for me on how I did, and just helps me as I am doing presentations like this. So if you have a few moments and want to fill out the survey, you're more than welcome. My contact information is at the top of the chart, and the resource list, it also has all the music instruments, the musical instruments listed, and where you can find them, where you can buy them if you're interested in that. So let me just scroll through the chat here. All right, Sarah, wonderful. Nice to see you from AARP and encouraging music interventions for caregivers. Fantastic. All right, Tony, caregiver consultant. Oh, thank you for sharing your book. That's there for anyone who's interested. And wonderful. Oh, dementia-friendly dining in Central Florida. I love that. Vin mentions here, Mama sang every day. It was a great tool. I love hearing those stories. Music is so powerful with our loved ones living with dementia. Wonderful. Oh yeah, Vin's also mentioning YouTube videos. Yeah, YouTube is a really great source for self-care for us, as well as for sharing music with loved ones. You know, I can sing Elvis, but sometimes there's nothing like watching Elvis dance to Jailhouse Rock. So that's a great recommendation, Vin. Oh, here's one: setting up a record player in my room. Yes, I encourage you to do so. I think it's Alyssa, or Lisa. I find myself not listening to my records. Yeah, I think if it's out, I found the same thing. I think if it's out and you see it every day and it reminds you that it's there, you might be encouraged to listen to them more often. Vin mentions know your loved one's taste in music. Yes, Vin, I do a whole workshop on music preferences in older adults and how to go about finding them and what's important. Preferred music, especially with folks living with dementia, is very important. So yeah, today we were mostly focusing on self-care for us, but yeah, that is a wonderful point to make. Boo mentioned here, started making a new music that makes me want to move. Yeah, all right. So it makes me want to move playlist for myself for each of my birthdays. Oh, I love this tradition, Boo. She titles it playfully with the age, for example, 50 wonderful, 50 attitude, 50 forward, I can't live 55. Oh, fantastic. I love that, Boo. That's awesome. Yeah, themed playlists are really great. And they're a way that they're creative expression too, you know. What I love is with Spotify and Apple Music and all the digital platforms out there, there's playlists that are already created. So if you don't know where to start, you can always start with dancing playlists, look it up and pull the songs that you like, or you can start from scratch like Boo mentioned, or like I did with the, you know, windows down and cruising playlist. All right, we've got another comment here. My sister contacted the music department at the high school near my home. Full-time caregiver for my mother, and she used to play the piano. All right, we're looking for a student who might want to play and do a live concert. Oh, that's fantastic. I love that. I love getting students involved, making it an intergenerational activity. That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. It's a great resource and a great idea if you're looking to use music in a meaningful way. I love that. And another comment about maybe learning the guitar, since it might be stressful, I can attest to that. It sometimes is challenging, especially as you're building up calluses when you're learning guitar. Getting someone to tune the instrument to open tuning and playing with a slide is simple and a meditative way to start with the guitar. Yes. Thank you for recommending that. I could not agree more. That is a really easy way to start with the guitar. Now, going back to YouTube, that's another way if you want to explore learning a new instrument, but maybe you don't want to try formal lessons. You could watch the videos. Ukulele is a great place to start too. It's a little bit easier to play if you don't want to get to the guitar right away. But I love all the comments in the chat. I want to thank you all so much for joining me. We have just a few minutes left. I don't know if anybody else has any questions. Please enter them in the chat. Any comments? Feel free to put those in the chat as well. I hope I have encouraged you to explore self-care and help you develop a self-care practice for yourself. So whether you use music or whether you just use some of the other activities that were shared, I really think, self-care is so beneficial to all of us. It's not something we always prioritize, especially as carers. So it's something that can really be beneficial for us along the way. So thank you all so much for being here today. All right, you're welcome. Oh, you're welcome, Maggie. Thank you. Thank you, Mitch. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah. I hope y'all enjoy it. Thank you. Music made us all feel better. Yeah, it does for me too, Vin. Thank you so much. All right, thank you all. So yeah, my contact information is up at the top. I'll put it here again at the bottom. Just if you are curious about music therapy in older adults, curious about music therapy for yourself with self-care. I provide a variety of services. You can check out my website there to learn more, and I'd be happy to chat if y'all have any questions. But thank you so much. I'll leave the room open for a few minutes if anyone else wants to talk or has any questions, and feel free if you want to go try out some of the other rooms, that's fine too.